Hello and welcome, the final one in this series, Marketing Theories Explained. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you've joined me throughout the whole series, first of all, thank you. Secondly, you can probably skip 2 minutes if you're watching this on the re-record, because I'm going to say the same thing I've done pretty much every single time. But wait, before you skip, just let me explain a couple of things. First and foremost, it's the final one. So in homage to Tiger Woods, I'm wearing the red top, as he does in every one of his final rounds. Second off, before we go any further, just want to say a big thank you to Professional Academy, who I'll come on to in a minute, and Abby, who's been doing the magic and the trickery in the background. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. So what are we here to do? We're here to discuss the fundamentals of marketing. The fundamental models and theories that you can apply to make you a better all-round marketer. So first of all, intro to Professional Academy, who provided me this platform to hopefully help teach and provide some valuable information that then you can go and implement within your organization. So Professional Academy are a strategic partner for the CIM and a globally recognized provider of marketing training, qualifications and apprenticeships, of which I am proud to be part of. Little intro to me, and then we'll get into all the good stuff. My name is Peter Sumpton. I'm the Lego Master of Marketing. I like to turn those tiny little marketing bricks, or even big marketing bricks, that you find scattered around your organization and can become increasingly frustrating, into something fun, understandable and unique. We start with strategy and we build from there. More on that later. Been tutoring for around about 10 years, La Decima, and I've said that before. And I'm currently helping Professional Academy with their apprenticeship and their CIM qualification platforms. I also do consultancy work on the side, but I'm here today to help teach and provide value for you. So what have we done in this series? Quick summary for those of you that might be watching for the first time. Well, we started with some analysis and insight of which we need to build upon. And we've gone right through to the marketing mix, communications, and now we're here for this last one. This one, amongst all of them, is crucial as it ties everything together. If you're utilizing such models that we're going to discuss today, then that will mean the difference between you becoming a good all-round marketer and a bad all-round marketer. If you've got any questions, there's a Q&A box, fire them in there. Happy to answer anything you've got to throw at me about this model that we're going to cover or anything within this series that we've covered so far. Please, I'll answer them at the end once the live's finished. So if you answer some questions and we stop the live, I will still answer them, so hang around. It's the best way we've found just to keep the synergy and these things going. Okay, so what are we looking at today? Well, today we're going to be looking at RABOSTIC, not robotics, RABOSTIC, which is a marketing planning tool. There are others available, a SOSTAC you may have heard of, but today we're going to focus on RABOSTIC, what it is, how to apply it, and why it is important. Let's face it, any marketing planning tool, any tool that provides you with structure is hugely important. But let's get into RABOSTIC. Let's take a look, see what it actually stands for and what we can utilize it for. Well, RABOSTIC actually stands for research and analysis, audience, budget, objectives, strategy, tactics, implementation, and control. And as I said before, this is where we bring everything we've learned together. All the previous tools, knowledge, information that we've provided on this series is in here somewhere. This links it all together. Now, this seems like a lot to go through in the 10-15 minutes we've got together. So what I'm going to do is put some clarity around what each element means. It'll give you some idea as to how to utilize each element and why they're so important, why they're so crucial in planning your marketing tactics, your strategy, and then analyzing it. So I've mentioned this previously about what makes a good and bad marketer, or good and bad all-round marketer, should I say. And if you look at what you can see on the screen here, you've got strategy, you've got tactics, and you've got implementation near the end, okay? If you start with your tactics, if you start with your implementation, or even your strategy for that matter, without doing your research, without setting objectives, without knowing your target audience, that will make you a bad all-round marketer. Let's face it, if you're implementing communications and you don't know who your audience is, you haven't done your research, you don't know what's going on outside, it's raining by the way, but if you don't know what's going on outside, how can you provide a good communication platform to communicate with your audience and help highlight the best solution for the problems that they have? So, okay, let's bring this all together and let's start at the beginning with research and analysis. We're going to take each one in turn, but everything starts with this research and analysis. So what does this mean and why do we start here? Well, what this actually means is that we get a whole load of tools together, a whole load of information, try and make some sense of it. We covered 2 of these elements in sessions 1 and 2, so please go back and have a look. This was pest delay and SWOT, but there's multiple other tools you can use here. Some of them you might have heard, some of them maybe not so. Go and have a look at them. Porter's 5 Forces, McKinsey's 7 S's, gap analysis, financial information. You may need or want to look at your marketing mix or do a digital audit. The key here is to utilize the models to your advantage. Utilize them so that you're getting value or you're creating some value while using them. Don't feel like you have to use them in their entirety. Yes, they should be used in their entirety, but as long as you're getting valid data and information and analysis out of these, then you're doing your research correctly and you're using these models correctly as well. Don't be afraid of them. Don't feel you have to use them all. It's all about drawing conclusions from the data you're going to compile. So this research and analysis is as long or as short as it needs to be. I'd love to give you a definitive answer of how long it needs to be, how long you need to spend on it. Really, it should be something you update on a continual basis because your business is not working in a bubble. And the research, the information, your internal audit, your external analysis will be continuously changing. And we'll come on to that when we talk about control and why that touches every other element of RABOSTIC. Okay, so let's move on. We've done our research. We know some of the models that we're going to look at and then implement to provide us some good, valid data analysis that then we can draw conclusions off. But there's one thing missing here, and that is our audience. And that is the second part of RABOSTIC. What we want to do here is build a customer persona or an avatar built on data or built on what we feel is our ideal client. If we don't do this, how do we know who we're trying to communicate with? How do we know who we're trying to target? How do we know who wants our product or service or needs our help? Think about a game of Guess Who. We've all played that, right? Think about that little card and you don't know who's on that card. Creating a customer persona or an avatar is that person on that card. The more you build, the more information you compile about your customer persona, your ideal client, your avatar, your target audience, the more you will understand who the heck they are. The one thing we can do here is utilize segmentation, targeting, and positioning, or the abbreviation there, STP. You've got your market, you segment it into individual elements, groups of people. Then you look to see what is the most viable target audience. And then what we do then is we position ourselves in the market so that we are in line with our target audience. Just play Guess Who and you'll get what I'm on about. Okay, time to move on. I think I've said enough about audience and why that's important. Let's look at budget. This seems an obvious one. How much money have we got to spend? But this element, I personally feel, goes a lot deeper than just money, than just budgeting. Now, there's three fundamentals, and if you've ever been in a workshop or met me, I preach this, and I say it nearly every single time I talk about marketing. There's three fundamentals that will determine where you go moving forward, and that is your budget, the money you've got to spend, the time you've got to do things, or the time that's allocated to a certain project, campaign, plan, or strategy, and the resources that are available for you and your organization. Those three things will determine what you can achieve and what you've got to try and achieve what you're going to achieve, if you get my meaning. And this works in any walk of life. It works in any situation. If you're going on holiday, it all depends how much you're going to spend, how long you've got to go on holiday, and the resources to get there and back. Try it in your next meeting. If you're not listening in your meeting, think of those three elements. And if someone asks you a question and you're not quite sure, just pick one of those and say, that's great, but have we got the time? Have we got the money? Do we have the resources for that? It solves a whole world of problems. Anyway, little hack there. Let's get back to RABOSTIC and moving on to objectives. This is the exciting part where we start to move forward. What we're doing here is we're looking at what we actually want to achieve. By setting an objective, we set our stall out to say we are going to do this by a defined date. The key element here is to make sure that your objective flows from the business mission, vision, the business actual objectives to marketing objectives, and perhaps individual comms objectives maybe. It depends how detailed you want to get with these. Remember to make them SMART. If you don't know the SMART acronym, please look it up because it's hugely crucial. It will really help you balance your objectives out and make them really, really pinpoint what you want to achieve. It's not a pick and choose acronym. As I said all along, usually with these models and acronyms, we can pick and choose which elements are going to add value. With a SMART objective and with the SMART acronym, you need to use every single component in that to create your objective. So these objectives can be anything from a big marketing objective to increasing revenue to a small comms channel based objective, such as increasing click-through rates, for example. It all depends on what you're planning, but RABOSTIC and the analysis and the research, defining your target audience and looking at your budget, time and resource will determine these objectives. Right, fantastic. We've got some objectives. This is the fun part and the most important part because we move on to strategy. This is absolutely crucial. So if there's one thing you listen to amongst all of this, it's this part. It's the most important. This is the difference between a good marketer and a bad marketer. Focusing on the strategic element. If you don't have a strategy, how do you know where you're going? How do you know how you're going to achieve your objectives? What are you going to tell people within the business, within your team, within your department, within your division? What's your overall strategy? Now, there's multiple tools we can use for this. We can use Antos Matrix, Porter's generic strategies, to mention two of the more prestigious marketing strategic models, or the SFA model, suitability, feasibility, acceptability model. That will help you work out which of your strategic directions is the best to go in. If you're still a little confused about what I mean by strategy, think of it like taking a journey. Remember, what I said about strategy is it's where you want to go. So say I was traveling home, am I going to go by car, boat, ship, or walking? That entity is my strategy. I'm going to go by car. I'm going to go by boat. I couldn't really reach my house by boat, but could be a thing. That is our strategy. We'll move on to tactics in a minute because the tactical elements are which roads we're going to take. Is it petrol or diesel car? The finite details. But your strategy, your strategic direction is important because that defines everything we do from here on in going forward. This is your future. You're planning for your future, and it all starts with this strategy. Okay, moving on to tactics, the tactical elements. What do we mean by tactical elements? Well, the three things on there kind of define our marketing tactics. It all starts with the marketing mix. What do we mean by the marketing mix? Well, we're talking about the 7 Ps, which we covered in session 3. So go back, take a listen to that if you're not quite sure what the marketing mix entails. Within that mix is the communication mix. It's the promotion part of the marketing mix, one of the 7 Ps. That was also covered in session 4. See how all this is linking together? It's all about cohesion. The other elements on there, drip, ADA, race, they can be important within your tactics because this gives it definition. This goes into detail about how you're going to communicate, how you're going to highlight, how you will solve your ideal client's problems. We can also do things at this stage like look at our customer journey, look at the touch points. What's the flow between these touch points? Are they integrated? Is it a cohesive approach? And it needs to be. Going back to the 7 Ps, we need to get involved in pricing. We need to get involved in our process, our placement, yes, our promotion, but also things like the people involved in the physical evidence. I think that's all 7. I might have missed 1 there, but anyway, that's not important right now because we're just doing an overview here. We want cohesion in our tactics. That's all well and good, fantastic. We've completed our tactics. We know our tactical entity and what we're going to do, how we're going to do that. We've covered all the 7 Ps and we've gone a little deeper into our customer journey and the touch points. We actually need to implement this thing now, which is the penultimate I in RABOSTIC. So this is the action, the actual doing. It's not only about telling people what to do or showing people what to do. Again, it's about a cohesive, integrated approach. A great thing to utilize here is a Gantt chart. If you don't know what a Gantt chart is, please look it up. It's dead simple, dead easy. You could use a spreadsheet in its simplistic format. You can go a lot detailed in there in a Gantt chart. But the one thing we need to cover with implementation is basically the who, the what, the when, and the where. If you've covered those, you can give this chart, this implementation process to anyone, and they can go and implement it. Now, it's important to note that this will be determined by those 3 fundamental factors again: budget, time, and resource. We need to consider those and how they restrict our implementation. We want maximum value and maximum impact. Another model we might want to look at here is the 5 M's model. And that gives us a good internal viewpoint about the personnel we have, the budget we actually have, the machinery at our disposal, those types of things. Hugely important. Check out the 5 M's model. It will really help you understand your implementation and how you're going to actually do it. Okay, so we've implemented it. It's going great guns. Fantastic. Good job. There's one final element in RABOSTIC, hugely important, and it covers all other sections that we've been discussing, and that is control. Now, this is how you know you've achieved your objectives or not. If you haven't got a control, if you're not monitoring anything, how do you know if you've got to your objective, if you've reached your objective? Now, this can be simplistic. If it was, say, a profit margin, a turnover that you were looking to achieve in your objective, that's a simple control to understand. But within this control, we have elements such as KPIs, key performance indicators. And what these do is help you monitor the progress throughout your plan, your campaign, your strategy. Why do we monitor it throughout? Well, it's a really good point. The reason we do that is because this allows us to make these subtle tweaks as we go along our campaign, as we go through our Gantt chart, if you like. Why do we do that? Well, that means those subtle tweaks, we can make tweaks to our tactics. We can make tweaks to how we're implementing things. We can even make tweaks to our strategy if we feel it's not working. This also plugs into our research and our analysis. This model is cyclical. We're ending with control, but what we find through this control, through our objectives, monitoring our objectives, through our KPIs and other software and analytics that can help us. Probably the most obvious one to note is Google Analytics for a digital focus, but there's hundreds and hundreds of different pieces of software that can help you analyze. Check out your CRM internally, see what data you can gather from there, see what analysis and research you can gain from that, and then plug it back in. And controlling this whole RABOSTIC, controlling your whole plan, will help you achieve what you want to do. Hugely important. And I know I've gone on about good marketers and bad marketers, but if you're not analyzing, if you don't understand that data and that information, then how are you going to show people whether it's working or not? How are you going to know if it's working or not? How are you going to explain to others within the organization which you're trying to onboard onto your campaign, onto your strategy, that this is the right way forward? Hugely, hugely important, and something that is quite often missed or skimmed over. Okay, so we've covered it. Fantastic, brilliant. I've harped on a lot there, and we've covered a heck of a lot. I've mentioned some models and theory, and you might not know them, but do your own research. Do your own research into marketing models. Read, consume, educate, and then start planning. And let's make some really, really good marketing campaigns and get marketing a better name than just a communications department. We are a marketing department, and that is crucial. I'll get off my soapbox now, and we'll move on to some benefits of RABOSTIC. Not just RABOSTIC, but marketing planning in general. Focusing on that plan, having some structured approach to what we do. And that is the first benefit: structure and consistency. If we don't plan for a holiday, for example, how do we know when we turn up to the airport? How do we know we've got our passport? How do we know we've got the right money? How do we know we've got money on our credit card to spend? It's all about structure and consistency, planning. It helps us avoid any surprises. Again, it goes back to the control element. If you're monitoring certain elements of your plan, tactics, your implementation, then you can avoid any surprises, any bumps in the road. And if bumps do occur, because some things are out of your control, if they do occur, you can make those subtle tweaks we talked about because you've got it all down. You know and understand what you're trying to do. So making those subtle tweaks will filter through and hopefully guide you in the right direction. Gives us a planned roadmap with a final destination, a focal point for what we want to achieve. And that's what we're all in business to do, right? We've got a focal point. We've got something we want to achieve, be it small, medium or large, short-term, long-term, medium-term. Doesn't matter. We've all got a focal point. We're all trying to achieve something, hopefully for the greater good, for the better. It also helps us manage, especially our resources, our time, our budget. Those three fundamentals, again, they appear everywhere, don't they? But it helps us manage, helps us control, helps us monitor, all those things that we might not feel like doing sometimes because it feels like admin-y work. If we do that hard bit at the start, get it in place, then our marketing strategy will mean something. It will give us a focus and people will stand up and notice. One final benefit is that it helps us get others involved. It helps us coordinate activities, make others be a part of it. If you include them from the start, include them with the research and the analysis, developing the persona, creating objectives that everyone is happy with or challenging them to achieve, creating a strategy together and then the tactics and implementing it, then that cohesion will filter through an entire business. This is why marketing should be the focal point of any business. It should be marketing orientated. So final benefit here, the main one, number one thing I want you to take away from this. If you're planning your marketing, it means you're building on solid, credible foundations, and you're placing a methodology behind what you do. And this will be backed up by research and insight. And lo and behold, we've gone full circle. We're back at the start of RABOSTIC, our research and insight. And this is the difference between a good and a bad all-round marketer. Start with your research and insight. Move on from there, develop your strategies and your tactics, and remember to monitor them. And that will put you above most people within our industry. So hopefully you've got some value from that. Hopefully I've inspired you enough to get planning, get it down, make it structured, and then really implement it and go for it. Make it yours, make it right. And if it isn't right, you're controlling it so you can tweak it. So it's guaranteed to work. How great does that sound? Fantastic, brilliant. Okay, right, I've harped on enough. Let's close this final one, let's close it. This is the end of the series. The end of what we've been doing over these 6-7 weeks. So first of all, a big thank you to, first and foremost, everyone that's tuned in. And if you've tuned in to the last moment, to this moment, can't thank you enough. I don't know how you've done it, but can't thank you enough. Pleasure to be talking to you today. A big thanks to Professional Academy, who've allowed me this platform to provide you with all this information and pretty much given me free reign on this. Heck of a lot of trust there, so thank you. I really appreciate you all. And thanks to, again, Abby for doing all the magic in the background. You wouldn't be seeing all this creative work. You wouldn't be seeing me if it wasn't for Abby. So thank you. Thank you very much. If this series has been of interest to you, and this is the first one you've seen, the rest can be found on the Professional Academy YouTube channel, which there's a link on the screen now, a quick bit.ly link. Type that in. That's the URL. It'll take you straight there, and there'll be 6 of these bad boys that you can consume. Or there's a blog post that attributes, or accompanies, should I say, this series. Take a look at that, and everything, all the info will be on that as well. So from myself and Professional Academy, the final thing to say is happy marketing.